painted those yesterday, so they've been sitting in the sun all day today, baking. So I give them a couple days before I put them on. And just did the brakes on that Magnum for my son Kirk, and that was a 2-day job. Everything's seized, broken bolts. Here's my mess I gotta clean up, and my bench. Gotta clean my bench again. So, and I'm still waiting for the jets for the carb on that Harley. So on the next day or so, I'll get the swing arm on and the oil tank in, and get some oil in it, and she's gonna come together real quick now. Got the swing arm back from Peter's. She's all painted up, ready to go, and this is that slipper we made on here. Boxed it all in, and then I just cut pieces of Teflon like this. I got a whole bunch of these, so this works perfect. Pretty snug fit. I'm just going to stick a cotter pin in there to hold it. I'll be keeping an eye on that for a while to see how quickly it lasts or burns up. That should be it. When I took this apart, I checked the bushings on it, and they were good. So they must have been replaced years ago and just never used. This thing's been taped up for a long time. Anyways, I'll screw with that a little bit later, but here's the oil tank. You can see in the oil tank where he's bronzed it in here. Couldn't take it, it's just like paper, too thin. It was cracks here, here. And you won't see this. This is where the element is. So what we did is beefed it up. Put an L bracket in here, re-drilled it, epoxied this on here with a panel bonding epoxy, which is super strong. That's what they use in all the new cars to bond the panels together from the factory. And just re-drilled the holes. And there's about a 1/4 inch gap between the tank and the battery cover. So this shouldn't rub at all. I might put a little piece of rubber in here. I've got some rubber stripping. Put a piece either on the battery tray or on this here on the bottom. So this is all ready to go. It's a little bit dusty. Got caps on here. I'm going to flush it out really good. First with some gasoline, some thinners, and then I'm going to run some oil in it, because if there is any kind of dirt in there, it'll stick to the oil, and then I'll pour the oil out. So I've got to do that before I mount this. But that's where I'm at today. I'm getting pretty close. Got my other bracket back for the coil, so I can put that on. I reversed it. We'll see how that looks. And then there's my side stand. Pretty much had to remake this whole thing. But I think it needs to be playing down on this one side here. There's a gap when I stick it on a frame, so we're going to machine this down a little bit. Okay, let's put this together. Okay, I cleaned this all out thoroughly. You know, when you sandblast, you always get a little bit of dust and sediment there. And cleaned out the shaft. It's got some wear on it, but it'll be all right. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pack this with grease. I'm going to pack the bushings with grease. I'm not going to use the oil filler thing they used to do where it drips out the sides and makes a mess. You know, all Japanese bikes are grease, and they're a bronze bushing, you know, with a steel shaft. So, you know, there's all different controversy about this on the internet. Guys are still using original oil. They say it works the best because it'll drip through this little tiny wee hole, you know, in the shaft here. And then there's other guys putting needle bearings in here, you know, and then greasing them up. But man, all Japanese bikes for the last 50 years, they've just been using a steel shaft and a bushing with grease, and they put a grease fitting in the end, and or into the ends right here, a grease fitting. But the end of this piece here, which seals the end from the oil, has a little fitting on here. I was thinking about changing that to a grease fitting, but I think what I'll do is I'm just going to pack it full of grease, and you know, and then maybe check it once a year. You know, pull the spindle out, re-grease it again if I have to. But the best grease for bronze bushings is the Bel-Ray Moly anti-seize grease. It's a moly grease, keeps moisture and water out. That's the main thing you want. But also a lithium-based grease as well too is good for the lubrication. So I might do a little combination of both. So I got a little bit of both of it in there, and I'm sure that's going to last for years. You know, there's very little movement in the swing arm. It just pivots. You know, it just pivots a few degrees. This all this is going to do here, pivot maybe 5-10 degrees at the most. So that's the road I'm going to go. I'm going to grease this up and then assemble it. I put some moly in here, and I'm mixing in a little bit of the lithium. First time I ever seen anybody do this was, I don't know, 35, 40 years ago now, I guess. 35 years ago. With a mechanic I worked with, motorcycle mechanic, and that's what he did, man. He mixed the two compounds together that he needed or wanted for the grease, and sometimes a little bit of assembly oil in there, because assembly oil's got, I think, moly in it, sticks around for a long time, or lithium in it. So that's what I'm going to do. Get the best of both worlds. Put a little bit on the bearing surfaces here. It's going to be a little messy going in, but put a little bit on the seal. Okay. Put some on the shaft. I mean, there's a little hole for the oil there, and I guess they always pack up. This is going to be messy. Okay, so the one end of your shaft is threaded, so you can pull it out if you have to, and that should be on the right side of your motorcycle. So it should be on this side here. So I got this upside down right now. clean my hands first. I just put a bolt on the end here with a nut, threaded it in, so I can hammer it in, and then when I get in there I can turn it until the bolt hole lines up in here. So that's what I'm doing right now. We tap this, there's the hole right there. Got to get lined up. First I got to tap it in. Right about there. Oh, let me get that inner primer out there. Shoot, I put this. So I didn't want the inner primer on. Let's check this end here. Got a little bit more to go. But I just see on there. Oop, maybe too far. Oh, that should be good. That should be good. Okay, let me see here. Didn't get lucky, didn't line up. Gotta be really lucky for that. So I'm just gonna turn that shaft until that hole lines up. Oh, there it is there. I think we're right on the money. Right there. If anything, it might need to go a couple thou towards the camera. Let's see here. You gotta get a flashlight. Pretty sure it's gotta go your way. Yep. And just a shade back. Hope it'll go back. Yep, there's back. And where's my hammer? A little bit more. Sixteenth of an inch. Oh, hit it pretty hard there. I think that's it. Okay. See if that'll stir it in there. That Molly lube crap gets everywhere. Some messy stuff. Let me just see. It's really close. It's really close. So maybe I need to turn it just a little bit, maybe. Well, I'm going to screw around with this. You don't need to watch that. Got it. Finally. Man, that's a precise fit. Okay. Put the end caps on and the seals. Check that. I'm going to put this on. This, I don't know what you call it, but it seals the ends of the swing arms. This presses against the seals on the inside here, supposed to hold the oil in. I clear coated these so they hopefully won't rust for a while. And the nipple side goes on the right hand side. See if I can do this somehow. Because once the inner primer is on, you won't be able to grease it or oil it from this side. You gotta have it on the other side. See if I can hold it like this. Get it started like this. Better to have this out. Come on. Faster, get in there. What the hell? It's gonna go inside there. Okay. Got her started there. And I'll put the shocks on in a minute. Hook up the swing arms. The diagram shows the bolts going from the inside of the swing arm out. I put a little grease on that too. Where'd my grease go? Where'd the grease go? Oh. Put a little dab on there. I've got these at 2 different settings. Okay. me check that. Okay, got the swing arm on, got the shocks all mounted, got the Teflon in there, ready for a chain. I think the next part is the battery box and oil tank. And I think I'm just going to take the carbs off and not even screw around with it. Put it in this way. Get that out of the way. But that's going to be in the next video. Oh, and I got the coils. I get them all mounted. They still touch here, but at least now they're nice and square. Can almost bend those a little bit, but that's how that's going to work. And I'm not sure if the casing on the coils has to be grounded or not. If it is, I'm going to have to sand down one of these or stick a copper wire underneath and run it to ground and clean the grounds all up. That's something I got to look into. I don't know if those need to be grounded or not. I got to check that. But I just got 4 new bolts for that to bolt that on. Maybe I'll do that right now. I pre-measured these to 3/4 of an inch setback from the clamp, and I think that's going to give me the right clearance. Like that. Washer. I got the nylon locking nuts this time. Probably the only part in the bike that doesn't vibrate loose. Okay. Okay. Put one on this side. Yeah, they line right up. When you butt them right up together, all these holes line right up. Here. Yeah, another washer. They were lining right up. Get in there. Should give me about 1/4 of an inch clearance here. We'll see when I tighten it up. Keep tightening, dummy. Yeah, that's good. About 1/4 of an inch. Oh, shoot. Low power mode. Close. My battery's just about dead. Let's just temper it. So that's good there. Got about 1/4 of an inch right here. Okay, that's it for tonight. If I got time tomorrow, I've been really busy lately. Like, I'm just getting out here tonight at 9 o'clock. And gotta work on these here. Oh, got a new part today too. I was over in the States and my grips came in. I like this style where it's beveled out in the middle. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to withstand the vibration, or if I've got to go to the original ones that are like have the air pockets in them. But I like that style. $10, that's it. Free shipping, $10. Gonna try that. Okay, that's it for tonight.